So, good morning. Good morning. Okay, it's not good morning because you are sleeping. It's good morning because at Milkbasket and now at Sorted, we always say good morning. Our business model has been always about morning. It's about having your mornings better and sorting out your mornings. So, I don't know what a CMO is, but I think I am the CMO also. I'm the CEO also. Um, and Sorted is my new startup. Milkbasket was my old startup. I ran it for 7 years. So that's my introduction. And customer engagement is something which is very close to me. Uh, so on that note, okay, here's a question for you guys. There are two ways I can deal with that. Either I do a show of hands, or I ask all of you to stand up. Okay, all of you, please, can you please stand up on your seat? I request all of you to please stand up on your seat. I'm coming in the back. I'm a bad speaker, guys. Thank you so much. People who believe, how many of you think customer engagement is just another buzzword, may sit down. More people sitting? Okay, I have amazing audience. Thank you so much. So approximately there are 5% of people here who believe, everyone can please sit down. Thank you so much. It's a great exercise. It puts the blood flow down to the legs, reduces the brain blood flow, and which means at least I have attention for the next 10 to 15 minutes. Not the entire session, but I'll try to. So, by the way, that was me. That was me around 10 years ago when I was selling customer engagement and I said कि boss, ये क्या time pass कर रहे हो? लोगों को product चाहिए होता है. लोग product खरीदने आते हैं. लोग service खरीदने आते हैं. And what we are trying to do is say that there is something called customer engagement. And actually, customer engagement can lead for customers to buy inferior product and service. It's something that I realized later on. But that's the truth. So then I came up with this sentence. I can't imagine a life without. My wife, my father, my mother, my son. I can't imagine a life without. Hand on your heart. This is something I want you guys to think about. Hand on your heart. If I say, think about a product, service, brand, or a product brand or a service brand, is there a brand that comes to your mind where you can say, I can't imagine a life without? Show of hands. Anyone who would like to say an example? Yes, please. Google. Awesome. Anyone else? Yeah. Apple. My favorite too. Yes, please. Amul? Amul Gold. Amul Gold milk. You love the gold. Awesome. WhatsApp. I can't imagine my life without WhatsApp. So, sorry? Can somebody transfer that? Cred. I can't imagine a life without cred. Kunal Shah would be happy. This is something I'm going to message to him right after the session. That dude, your brand has come up. This, and you guys, I believe when I try to ask what type of audience are we looking at, these are primarily marketing guys, you guys, heads of marketing, digital, or engagement, or retention, who are trying to figure out what is my customer, who's my customer, how do we retain them, how do we engage them, how do we sell more to them. And guys, this is my one takeaway for last 20 years of work. If your brand can come, or your service can come, or your product can come at the end of this sentence, for not everyone, you might have 1,000 users, you might have 100 institutional clients, you might have 1 million users because you are WhatsApp. But if your brand can come at the end of this sentence for 2%, for 3%, for 5%, means 20% is a great number. Then you have done your job. Then you, your CEO, your company, your brand has done a job to say that there is something substantial that you have created that a person can't imagine a life without. And to me, that's where the pinnacle of customer engagement is. Uh, in a there's a company called Gallup, and Gallup has what we call a customer engagement score. It's called CE11. At the top is what we call a passionate customer, not a loyal customer, not a satisfied customer, not an engaged customer. We call it a passionate customer. And at the question that you ask a passionate customer, and if the answer is yes or no, is actually this question. So I have not created it. It's actually something that I have taken from Gallup, which actually used to be my job. I used to be a partner at Gallup, so that's where I learned. So, so this is what you have to reach. How do you have to reach? Everybody has different ways. We have multiple tools. We all have multiple communication techniques. And there are plenty of data, knowledge, and all the knowledge is available. And first, we were struggling with finding that knowledge. Now ChatGPT has come. Even that has been made easy. It's like, type me a good question. At least that's what you can do. So I'll give you my sort of 3 things that I have done consistently for the last 10 years in my startup world, which has worked for me. I think it depends on how you take it, how you apply it, and but it works. It has worked for me. I would say it works. And as we go in the journey, we can figure it out. They're very, very simple things. Again, no advanced gyan. I don't have advanced gyan. I'm a very basic. That's the advantage of calling an entrepreneur, possibly, and not a corporate guy, because we come from the bottom and we think like bottoms up. Formulate. What's formulate? Yes, there are tools to do things. Oh, Avlesh is sitting here. So like WebEngage is a tool to do things. It's an amazing tool to do something. Avlesh is here? The WebEngage. WebEngage is an amazing tool to engage your customer and retain your customer. Quote me on that. I think while we are at it, maybe a round of applause for Avlesh to put all of this together. And for having me. I have no idea why you did that, but it's okay. Formulate is, to me, is when you are growing that seed. Who, when, why, where, what, how, right? You are formulating a strategy. You're formulating a communication strategy. Spend time, literally time, thinking about it. And at the end of the day, if you are the decision maker to communicate, go back to the question, I can't imagine a life without. What tone of communication am I creating so that when it goes to that particular customer, what is that person going to think about me? You can have a humor tone, you can have a sad tone, you can have an official tone, depending on the client, depending on the customer, depending on your product, depending on your service. But sometimes we, and this is what I have observed, sometimes we overdo on the tool part rather than the content part. Formulation is all about what am I gonna say, who am I? And there are multiple ways that these brand or marketing people put it. I'm sorry to say brand and marketing people. These amazing brand and marketing people. They say, okay, imagine your brand is a person. Is a he or a she. I was like, literally, he or a she? Okay, so now you have put a gender against your brand. And now if it's a he or a she, if there is a personality whom this brand would look like, what would that personality be? I was like, is it a Deepika Padukone or a Priyanka Chopra? No, it's an Amir Khan or a Shah Rukh Khan, right? And okay, if it's, so this was a practical exercise that I went through. I said Amir Khan. I like that guy. Amir Khan in Lagan, Amir Khan in Dil Chahta Hai. And imagine, and see, it's like you are a brand. What do? You want an Amir Khan of Lagan, And for some brands, it really makes sense to have your brand be the Amir Khan of Lagan, right? But for some brands, it makes sense for you to be the Amir Khan of Dil Chahta Hai. Totally different individuals, different personalities, act differently, behave differently, react differently. And if that's how you are, then that means if a customer has a question, you be serious about it, but at the same time, you answer with a humor, right? The next communication that you're sending them, by the way, you owe us 5,000 rupees or 50,000 rupees, you need to put a humor in making sure that receivable is there, or you get that money out. So it's a very coherent strategy. Spend extra time doing that. If you are doing that, it will give you result. You can change it when you have a customer base of 50 people, 100 people. In terms of institutional clients, you might change it when you have 3 to 5 clients. You can't do it at 100 clients because that was the total TAM, or 500. B2C business, I would say 100 to 500 users. B2B business, you're looking at 3 to 5 users. Try it out, test it out, formulate. Once you have done formulate, you have to communicate. It's like, why do you have to communicate? Because no matter what you're thinking about your brand, your clients, your customers don't know what it is unless you say it again and again and again and again. There is not enough time of again that you can say that. And my favorite example there, and I have copied them, is Indigo. Okay, Indigo started with a very simple thought process that we would be the cheapest airline, but cheapest is price point, and price point goes away with time. So what's the second hook that we are going to say? And anybody can help me? What was the second hook of Indigo? On time. Okay, a wild guess. By the time you reach an Indigo check-in, all the way you check out, then you go in the bus, then you go in the flight, then you take out the flight, then you get into the bus, then you come back, right? You are an Indigo property for those, I would say 15 minutes of check-in, 10 minutes of bus, let's say 2-hour flight, Delhi to Bombay, then another 15-minute of bus, and then Indigo cannot communicate with you other than WhatsApp. This is direct communication when you're physically present in an environment controlled by them. How many times do they say on time? No, that's Indigo standard time. वो तो अलग level की customization है. So they say, be on time, put the belt. Be on time, close the window. Be on time, give us the garbage. Be on time, get into the bus. Please wait because we are being on time. Please help us clean because we want to be on time. Okay, I have not counted the number, but I would say maybe 16 times, maybe 18 times. Next time, get into an Indigo. On time, and this is all about how do you integrate one thing that you have formulated into your communication. You can be on time. I used to be the right thing at the right time in the right condition. Okay, you could be freshness. Like my new business is all about freshness. We are into fruits and vegetables. And we say freshest, freshest, freshest. वो tagline में भी है, वो communication में भी है. Have a fresh morning. Did you have a fresh morning? Sorry, we screwed up your fresh morning. Sorry, we gave you a wrong product because your morning was fresh and we made it difficult. But if you have decided on it, don't shy away, because if the first step is right, then the second step is more important. We typically shy away. We think it's over. It's not over. It's like your baby. You say, I love you, I love you, I love you. Every sentence. My love, why are you not getting up? My love, why are you in the toilet? Right? It's your brand. It's your baby. Just treat it. And your customer is something that needs to know. Because if you say 15 times, maybe one time or 0.5 times, it gets into that subconscious and they remember it. That, hey, on time is Indigo. They have...
I remember their brand campaigns about this on time, where one of the campaign was sleep with your wife tonight, right? They had these big big billboards, right, all over the city. It used to say sleep with your wife tonight. That was how much this on time was important to them, right? Not just from branding, but all the way to communication, as you're saying. So interesting that you bring that up.
And to achieve that on time, once they have decided, and I think many few people know about it, if a lot of people know about it, then I'm wrong. They actually changed the flight time. So if you fly Vistara, they say 1 hour 50 minutes is your flight time to Bombay from Delhi. If you fly Indigo, they say 2 hour 30 minutes. Why 2 hour 30 minutes? It's the same flight, takes off at the same time. But if it's 2 hour 30 minutes, they know that they would be on time 99%. But if it's 2 hour 10 minutes, they would be on time 85%. Now on time is decided, now let's be on time. It's called under promise over deliver. You have arrived early, Indigo standard time. So, you know, the functional aspects of the business also come with, again, the formulation and the communication. And you can always decide your strategy, things that are in your control, according to it. The next I have is recalibrate. It's something that I personally love and I have personally created. This is original, by the way, this particular slide. What's recalibrate? Uh, is something that you have done enough of. You're growing beautifully. You have hundreds of customers, thousands of customers. And then comes a time where I believe the CEO, the CMO, the business has to recalibrate. What am I talking about here? As we grow from numbers, our customers become percentages. Has anybody experienced that? When your number of your customers actually become a percentage of customers. Okay, I'll tell you, it happened with me, Milkbasket. Uh, I started in 2015. Uh, Milkbasket is a simple service. People in Bombay don't know that. People in Gurgaon swear by it. Actually, they say, I can't imagine a life without Milkbasket. But in 2019, we were serving around 50,000 customers every day. So these 50,000 customers will get their milk and grocery and fruits and vegetables and everything 7 o'clock in the morning. And how many delayed deliveries are we looking at? We are looking at 1.5% delayed deliveries across 7 cities. And this is 7 o'clock delivery. That 1.5% looks like a beautiful number. When you look at it from an industry perspective, it's even better because industry is at 7%, 6% delay, right? They're not caring about it. But 1.5% of 50,000, okay, I'll call it 1%, difficult to calculate. 1% of 50,000 multiplied by 30. How many late deliveries are you doing? Who can answer? 1%, sorry? 15,000. You're doing 15,000 late deliveries, which means you are impacting 15,000 families. Each family has 4 people, which means you are impacting 60,000 people on a monthly basis who are not getting their delivery on time. And what are they being punished for? For relying on you, for trusting you, that they will not go to the local shop and they will actually buy from you. They had an option, right? They have an option to buy milk from somewhere else, from the local guy, this guy. Who gives you a right to impact 60,000 people just because you have grown to a $2 million or a not $2 million, 2 million or 3 million deliveries? So to me, recalibrate is a very simple step. If you are growing and if you are successful, at some point of time, guys, start bringing it down. That's 15,000 families, that not 1%. Because 1% looks like a non-workable number. कि यार इसको कहाँ नीचे लेके जाओगे? 1% पे तो हैं, industry के fraction पे हैं. But the moment it becomes 15,000, you did not start your business, you did not start your service to say that it has to be 15,000 people will not get their delivery on time, will not get their milk on time. Their kids will go to school without having fresh milk. Because when you create that reliability and consistency, when you have made that promise, you did not design for it. Then why are we dealing with it or why are we living with it? So recalibrate is a growth phenomena. And I think many of you should be there or would be there. But recalibration helps you put yourself on the ground, makes your team accountable to say, why is this happening? If you have to change the business model, you are not going to change it. But it's a tweak. It's something that is going wrong. It's about getting granular about it. And if you do all that, that's where formulate, communicate, and recalibrate keeps your customer engaged. And if you keep your customer engaged, your customer is retained. It's as simple as that. You're not shopping again for the customer. You're not losing your customer because you as leadership is trying to work on these simple, first principle thinking as to how am I treating my customer and what's going around it. The next slide goes back as a loop. It's like question to yourself. Am I changing the life of, again, am I changing the life of a customer? This is a question you ask yourself. Am I changing the life of? Am I changing the life of the person who was doing this activity before? It's a B2B client. It's an institution. It could be a person who's entering the data into your system. It's a person who's creating the API so that WebEngage gets the database access or put the SDK, right? You do SDK also, right? Am I changing the life of? Have you made it easy? If other people are taking it, 6 hours of training and 2 hours of job to use your product takes half an hour. It's so intuitively designed that you are actually changing the life of someone. Because the only way to hit the pinnacle is when you answer this question to yourself and be truthful to yourself. And here is a reality, and I'm a very practical on-ground person. You're not gonna do it for 100% of your customers. Okay, doing it for 100% of your customers is gonna make an unsuccessful business because the cost of doing it becomes so high. Can you do it for 10% of your customers? Can 10% of your customers say, I can't imagine a life without, because you have changed their life? That 10% is enough. Why is that 10% enough? They would be the highest paying customer. It's like 80-20 rule, that 10 to 15% of the customers would stick with you, would give your receivables on time. In a bad time, you would be the last one to be cut off, like COVID happens and all the B2Bs were going away. They would not cut you off because you have changed the life of. They have become comfortable with you. And don't do it with 100, but do it with 20. If your number is 1% or your number is unknown, that you have not changed the life of anyone, then who's going to help you? Means really, God can only help you. Or there's some VC behind who's just pumping in money without thinking about it. But customers will not. Customers will help you because you have actually impacted or created an impact, a meaningful, consistent impact on a day-to-day basis. And this is there. So, am I changing the life of? Again, ties back to, I can't imagine a life without. These two are almost like a circular question. And with that, I think the only one thing and the biggest takeaway that I have and that I would like to give, and if anything you want to take away, you can ignore everything that I have said, except for this, is be authentic. Guys, if you are not authentic, you can formulate whatever you want to formulate, you can communicate whatever you want to communicate, and you can say whatever you want to say. But be authentic. Be authentic about what is the real function I can do, how much can I deliver. Know your limitations, formulate, communicate within your limitations. It's always good to, under promise, over deliver. Be someone who you are not as an individual possibly, but as a brand, as a service, as a product. Because customers find out. Sales वाले कुछ भी बेच देते हैं, after sales find out. Right? After sales को पता चलता है यार ये तो बिक गया, client हमारा हो गया, अब इसका revenue कैसे बढ़ाएं? वो सर्विस जो प्रॉमिस हुई थी वो तो अभी तक डेवलप ही नहीं हुई है, राइट? I used to be a partner in a consulting firm. We used to sell it, and then ops team used to worry about it. कि ये अनंत गोयल क्या बेचा है? ऐसा तो हमने किया ही नहीं है. But sales people are doing their job. If everybody can be a bit authentic, it helps. So as long as you are authentic to yourself and authentic to the speaker who's speaking in front of you and pay attention to, it works. So I think I don't have anything else. Yes, I have questions. So that was me. Very simple, very logical, according to me, not according to you. But to say that if it's about customer engagement, it's about retention, it's not hi-fi, it's simple, it's first principle, it's for you to decide, it's for you to communicate, formulate, and deliver. All the best, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anant. No, so the bit that you talked about, wherein you said if you can't do it with your entire audience set, right? At least try to do it with a smaller subset. And naturally, what comes to you is a category of high-paying customers, more frequent customers, however you want to define that category. The question largely is around, well, in theory, it sounds great, but does that also mean that you actually change the service ecosystem in that business to service these kind of customers differently and the rest differently, to provide that level of service that those guys anticipate?
See, I have looked at it a bit differently. So the way I would formulate it to say the giving the TAM, given the TAM, given the business problem, I created a service. That service has to impact two individuals on day one, right? Those two individuals are impacted, and because my TAM was high of the service that I created, that means naturally 20 people can be impacted one day and 80% can be impacted one day. Sure. It's just that I do not have the resource to have that varied service, that whole feature set. But the first feature, the second feature would have impacted someone.
Should I?
Identify them, they automatically become the highest payer and the longest living customers.
Okay.
And then as you have more resources, when you get your Series B, Series C, you get 30 million, $50 million. Then work on the feature set so that those two people become 20, and 20 become 200, and 200 become 2,000. Ultimately, the goal is 80% of your customers should be saying that. And 20% of your customers is what your sales pipeline is working on, the new feature set with your product team. Right? But the stage of the journey would not be with the big customer set. So I call it, you're developing a culture, first you have to develop a cult. And that cult has to start small.
So eventual idea is to actually expand it to the entire audience set.
Actual idea is that every of your customers should be saying, I can't imagine a life without.
Which means, sure, okay. Which means that the decisions to drive this there's a lot of presumption that the business has enough leverage for you to provide that quality of service to the customer, which means the price points are sorted, your unit economics, profitability, all of that is sorted, right? Otherwise, it's incredibly hard to expand that as you scale to the entire set. But what you're saying is that you go in that way so that you can expand it.
See, I believe that consistency, reliability are a couple of things. Like I'll take an example of a brand called Zappos. I don't know how many of you know Zappos.
Oh, Zappos, a big
fan. Shoe brand came out of US.
Everybody knows Zappos here? Oh, yeah, it's been a great
so it was a shoe brand, came out of US, did some innovations on like half sizes, quarter sizes, because your feet are not in exact numerals of 10, 11, 12. But the biggest thing about Zappos was their customer care. Yep. And there are case studies about it. The customer care has spent 7 hours with a customer talking about how she's going through a divorce. And she came to buy shoes. Or she came to return shoes. I think that was the story.
Yeah, that was the story.
Now, and that person, after that, might not be a shoe customer, but can definitely be a Zappos. I can't imagine a life without. Correct. Because one customer care person. If you can identify that, I don't know how much would it take to actually expand that service. And you cannot force your customer care to say कि हर बंदे से 2 घंटे बात करनी है. But if a customer is willing to talk, you are not pressurizing your customer care to say that 15 seconds or 16 seconds is the most optimum time. Shut down the call and move away.
It's very interesting. It's very interesting, Anant, you bring this up, and we have a little time. So it's last season there was a couple of Easy Diner. And Postcard Hotels. Everybody has heard of Postcard Hotels? Has anybody stayed at Postcard Hotels? I want to see how many rich people in this room are. Postcard Hotels is a very expensive hotel property, and they're creating a different kind of luxury property. But he was talking about how he's building exactly the same thing, and the audience has all kind of crazy questions, right? So one of the things that they did is when you go and check into a hotel, even the 5-star hotels, right? You go into a Taj, you go into any one of these, you have a check-in time, you have a check-out time, and that's always on your mind because these are very standard times. They won't usually allow you to take liberties on those. Then there is breakfast, which goddamn for whatever reason closes at 10. And there are places which close at 9:30 also. I've been to those too, right? So the breakfast is over. Now, what he was trying to say by how he's driving some of these things that Anant is talking about at Postcard is killing these in the very first place. So when you go into a postcard hotel, and I'm now to become a brand ambassador for postcard, I wish he was here, I would have charged him. They have, the breakfast is on 24/7. It sounds stupid. And now all of you will say, oh, PNL. But it's like, sure. How many people actually use it is this. But the brand communication hinges on the fact that there is no check-in, check-out time. Come in whenever you want. These are boutique hotels, so they can manage. And there's no breakfast time. Well, when you check in into a hotel, the welcome drink that you get is some stupid pumpkin juice and God knows what juice. Half the time, some canned stuff. They actually serve you liquor, some cocktail, which is a local variant of the cocktail. So if you check in into one of the Goa properties, it's some Goan cocktail they'll serve you, and in some other place, some local stuff. They've just converted this into an experience that the guy who's experienced it once is never going to go back, because this idea of I can check in whenever I want
is always going to come back.
It's always going to come back. Sorry, it's never going to forget is what I was saying. But yeah, it's never going to forget that experience. It's insane. And he was trying to explain it because my question originated from the same thought process. I can do this, but it costs money. I have to keep my breakfast on 24/7. What if some guy shows up in the evening and says, chalo, omelette lekar aa jao. It's like, I need to have a guy.
A guy like me.
People like you would do that.
I can eat eggs all the time.
But yeah, I think it takes a lot to sort of convert this into action items when you build a business, but it does start with a founder or the leader of the business who is so obsessed to deliver that quality of experience to their customers so that they can drive these kind of behaviors, this recall value. My child, she remembers postcard hotels. We have been to so many, she doesn't remember anybody. It's all forgettable. She remembers postcard for the experiences that she had, which are all very sort of tailored and, to make her happy. So it's hard, but that's precisely the reason. Yeah.
See, just to add to that, we always believe that service is about adding things to your offering. Service is also about taking out things from your offering. So for the longest time, I have done this in front of Pepsi, Unilever, and I have addressed the national sales team. When we created Milkbasket, we actually said what we are doing is innovation by elimination. What was elimination? Till 2015, when Milkbasket was introduced, every grocery delivery is what we call the attended grocery delivery. बंदा आएगा, शाहरुख खान दरवाजा खोलेगा, टेबल पे सामान लगाएगा. जी, शाहरुख खान घर पे थोड़ी ना होगा यार तुम्हारे सामान के लिए. और शाहरुख खान has no interest in talking to you, right? Milkbasket was the first what we call the ghost delivery, where things would be left outside your door, and our customers loved it. It's like पहले मैं शीशे में देखूंगा, फिर मैं लिपस्टिक ठीक करूंगा, फिर मैं बाल ठीक करूंगा, फिर मैं देखूंगा पजामे में छेद तो नहीं है, right? Delivery boy वाला क्या सोचेगा? सामान लेने जा रहा हूँ, right? So you can create a richer experience also by elimination and actually reduce 30% of your cost. But it's all about whether it sits in the whole framework, and not easy to crack. Neither adding or eliminating is easy to crack, but at least, strive towards it. Think about it. Can I provide a differentiated experience? And that experience can actually reduce your cost instead of increasing your cost. So it can go either way.
Thank you, Anant.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.